Phil Jackson was one of the most brilliant minds the game of basketball has ever seen, and Michael Jordan says that without him, the story of the Bulls would have been very different. Sitting beside Scottie Pippen, Jordan explains that Phil understood the game beyond X's and O's. He knew how to manage pressure, personalities, and moments that could break teams apart. Scottie adds that Phil didn't just coach talent, he shaped character. His calm presence gave players confidence in the biggest moments. If you enjoy deep basketball stories like this, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Scottie Pippen remembers the first time Phil Jackson took control of the locker room and how different it felt from past coaches. There was no fear-based leadership, no constant yelling to prove authority. Phil believed players should think for themselves on the court. Michael admits that approach confused him at first because he was used to being pushed hard. Over time, he realized Phil was building trust, not tension. That trust became the foundation of championships. Michael says Phil Jackson taught him how to channel his competitiveness in the right direction. Instead of fighting teammates, Phil encouraged him to elevate them. Scottie recalls Phil constantly, reminding Michael that greatness multiplies when shared. It wasn't about one player scoring 50 every night. It was about everyone feeling involved and responsible. That mindset changed how Michael approached leadership. Scottie explains how Phil saw his potential long before the league fully respected him. He wasn't treated as a role player, but as a future star. Phil gave him freedom to handle the ball and make mistakes without fear. Michael says that decision made Scottie confident and fearless. With that confidence, Scottie grew into an elite, two-way player. Phil's belief shaped his entire career. Michael reflects on the triangle offense and how misunderstood it was at first. Many thought it limited stars, but Phil saw it as a tool for freedom. The system forced everyone to read the game instead of relying on isolation. Scottie says it made the team unpredictable and difficult to defend. Every player had a role and responsibility. That balance made the Bulls unstoppable. Scottie remembers how Phil used silence as a coaching weapon. Sometimes he wouldn't say anything during timeouts. That silence forced players to think and communicate with each other. Michael says those moments were uncomfortable, but powerful. They learned accountability instead of dependence. Phil trusted them to solve problems on their own. Michael talks about how Phil handled pressure during playoff runs. While others panicked, Phil stayed calm and grounded. He never let emotions spiral out of control. Scottie says that calm spread through the entire team. When the coach believed, the players believed. That mental stability won them games before tip-off. Scottie explains how Phil introduced meditation and mindfulness to the team. At first, players laughed and didn't take it seriously. Over time, they realized how it sharpened focus and awareness. Michael admits it helped him stay present in big moments. Phil understood the mental side of greatness that was rare in basketball at the time. Michael says Phil never tried to control him as a superstar. Instead, he guided him like a teacher. He challenged Michael intellectually, not emotionally. Scottie notes that Phil respected Jordan's intensity without feeding it. That balance kept Michael sharp, but grounded. It was a masterclass in leadership. Scottie recalls how Phil handled conflicts behind closed doors. He never embarrassed players. Publicly, problems were addressed privately with honesty and respect. Michael says that built loyalty within the team. Players felt protected, not exposed. That trust strengthened chemistry year after year. Michael talks about Phil's ability to see the bigger picture. He didn't obsess over one game or one mistake. He focused on the journey of the season. Scottie says that long-term vision kept the team steady, even during losing stretches. Phil never lost belief. That patience paid off when it mattered most. Scottie remembers how Phil empowered role players. Everyone felt important, from starters to the end of the bench. Michael says championships aren't won by stars alone. Phil made sure everyone was mentally ready. That collective confidence showed in crucial moments. No one felt afraid of the spotlight. Michael explains how Phil prepared them for life beyond basketball. He talked about balance, purpose, and identity. Scottie says Phil wanted them to be strong people, not just great athletes. That guidance stayed with them after retirement. Phil's lessons extended far beyond the court. He shaped lives, not just careers. Scottie reflects on how Phil handled criticism from media and fans. He never reacted emotionally or defensively. Michael says that taught them composure under scrutiny. The team learned to block out noise. Phil protected their focus. That mental shield became a competitive advantage. Michael talks about how Phil trusted his instincts as a coach. He wasn't afraid to sit stars if the moment demanded it. Scottie says that fairness earned respect. Everyone was held to the same standard. Phil led with principle, not favoritism. That honesty built unity. Scottie remembers how Phil encouraged creativity. On the court, players weren't robotic or restricted. Michael says that freedom allowed instincts to flourish. The game felt natural, not forced. Phil understood rhythm and flow. That understanding made the offense beautiful to watch. Michael admits that Phil challenged him more than any coach ever did, not physically, but mentally and emotionally. Scottie agrees, saying Phil pushed them to evolve. He wasn't satisfied with past success. Growth was always the goal. That hunger sustained the dynasty. Scottie explains how Phil prepared them for failure as well as success. He taught them how to lose without breaking confidence. Michael says that resilience defined their greatness. Losses became lessons, not excuses. Phil turned adversity into fuel. That mindset separated them from everyone else. Michael reflects on how Phil's leadership felt timeless. He wasn't just a coach of that era. His principles would work in any generation. Scottie says true leadership never ages. Phil's brilliance came from understanding people. That understanding built legends. Scottie looks at Michael and says Phil Jackson didn't just coach them. He transformed them. Michael nods, knowing his legacy is tied to Phil's vision. Championships were the result, not the purpose. The purpose was growth, unity, and excellence. Phil made them better players and better leaders. That is why his brilliance will never be forgotten. Michael adds that Phil Jackson knew exactly when to step in and when to step back. He never hovered or controlled every possession. That freedom made players feel trusted in the biggest moments. Scottie says Phil understood timing better than any coach they played for. He spoke when words mattered most and stayed silent when action was needed. That balance created confidence on the court. Scottie reflects on how Phil prepared them for the weight of expectations. With championships came pressure that could crush most teams. Phil taught them to ignore narratives and stay grounded. Michael says that mindset protected them from distractions. They focused on the moment, not the noise around it. That mental discipline kept them sharp year after year. Michael admits that even after all the success, Phil continued teaching them new lessons. He never allowed complacency to settle in. Scottie recalls Phil constantly reminding them that nothing was guaranteed. Every season required sacrifice and commitment. Phil demanded respect for the game itself. That humility kept the team hungry. Scottie looks back and says Phil Jackson didn't just build champions. He built a legacy of understanding and trust. Michael agrees, saying their greatness was shaped by Phil's vision as much as their talent. The banners and trophies tell only part of the story. The real impact was how he changed them as players and men. Phil Jackson turned potential into purpose, and that is where the story truly ends.